sentence. And I'm giving floor first to my colleague, dear colleague Teele, and we're going to talk about our Tartu Climate Assembly that you already heard about when Gea was talking in the morning. But that's going to be our view now.
Yeah, Maiu can rest a bit, her voice. So I'm Teele, also from the Green Tiger, democracy artist. Very, very happy that you are here, that we are here. With Maiu, we call ourselves the A-team of climate assemblies in Estonia. Remember Hannibal and BA and all that? What was the voice with the music? Yeah, from the garage, you know. Wherever there is a problem, we will come and solve it with an assembly. So we are kind of creating the wave, but of course we have a lot of collaborators also in this room, like Meri and Karl-Henrik. So we're really happy about that. And we will tell you about the Tartu Climate Assembly case shortly. But first, we are operating with the climate assemblies. There have been 2 in Estonia, right? There will be more. We are operating within the Green Tiger Foundation. So shortly about that, what is it? It's a civic initiative, cross-sectoral collaboration platform, and we are aiming to turn Estonia into a sustainable country and a role model country for the world like that. We have a lot to do, but we've already got kind of international feedback and feedback from Estonia also that this is quite unique. We work with businesses, we work with environmental and other civic organizations, we work with the public sector as such also. And as said, me and Maiu, we promote the climate, specifically climate assemblies, not just citizen assemblies on climate topics, because we know what is there to do. We know the kind of steps, what has to be done by the state, by local governments, more or less we know. It's just a matter of choice also, like where to start, basically, or what to prioritize. But we are so much forgetting about how to do it. And in that context, it's such a great chance to also renew the governance, like how we make societal decisions, long-term decisions that affect everybody. And we need that more and more and more. So this is our kind of agenda. And we also believe we come with the philosophy that we don't have enough resources, time-wise, human energy-wise, money-wise, to waste it on very bad processes, very bad citizen engagement, not well thought through, meetings or strategy creations. So that's why we promote climate assemblies. We are within the international network, or in the OECD, in the knowledge network on climate assemblies, and other circles. We get so much inspiration from there. And then we try our best in Estonia, but we are the toddlers still. We are the beginners here in that field, I mean practicing it. But maybe this is a relief for those who also are beginners here, yeah? So next to Damir and Jane and Zakia, we are a bit like, ooh, are we doing it right? Is this the cool way or not? But okay, we will share our experience still. And the focus for us with climate assemblies is actually, we see it as a decision-making format, not only a citizen engagement format, but it's a format how to make decisions that affect everybody, that are of greater public interest. And maybe this thought was embedded to us by Marcin Derwin, our great Polish colleague that many of you know. Because again, we don't have enough time to just fine-tune the citizen engagement. We have to radically innovate governance. And we also think that the climate assemblies are a bulletproof format. They have the history, they have the standards, all that. And what was the next slide, sorry? Okay, our dream basically is also not to just create like one-off events that we've had for 2 events until now. We're planning the next one with Tallinn in a year's time. So there is enough time to prepare. But bigger goal is to reach the permanent assemblies. Actually, that the random sample, the mini publics, would be the way how to decide upon very conflicting, polarizing long-term issues on the state level, on local level. We don't have regional level. There is something, but it's not like official. And Estonia is so small anyway. So this is our big dream. But we start with local and regional level on purpose to create kind of proof. This works. See, people are empowered. They make knowledge-based decisions. And then the question and the hard task is with the civic sector, the public sector. So with civil servants and the politicians, how to get their buy-in. And this is what our presentation is about. Systemic change cannot be achieved without the political buy-in and without raising the capacity of public servants. Because we are in a kind of transition mode to permanent assemblies, let's hope, but still we need to deal with the current system. So from that perspective, we will present you the Tartu case. And if you want, you can stand up, move around. Don't fall asleep. So we organized it this April and May together with Tartu city government, and we had 4 months of preparation time where we set 2 goals for that process. It was the first time for Tartu. You heard about that in the morning also, but we had like one external goal and internal goal. So the kind of public goal was the first one, to improve sustainable mobility in co-creation with the residents of Tartu. And we chose that topic together with the urban planning department, specifically like it's not too difficult, it's understandable to everybody. Let's have an easier topic in the beginning. That was the purpose also. The internal goal for the city government was, let's pilot this. Tartu is very well known, and I think in Estonia, the best kind of citizen engagement municipality. They do great stuff. This participatory budgeting, like how they created the master plan and how they're implementing it, how they kind of redesigned the bus schedules and routes and all that. So they're really setting an example for other municipalities in Estonia. So they were really open to like, yeah, you have some format or something new to us. Sure, like, let's test it. So they're really open to innovate, which is great. Yeah, and this is, if you can see, okay, let's skip it. So our main partner, kind of the commissioner, but also the co-organizer of the Climate Assembly, was the main architect on the picture, Denisarius, a really great guy, and he's Department of Strategic Urban Planning. And how we started, we basically mapped the ongoing processes, long-term processes of theirs. They are responsible for realizing the energy and climate plan. So they are actually leading this climate neutrality work in the city. They have the budget for that. They have the freedom to do. They have the staff. They have this climate advisor. So they have quite a lot of resources and power, so to say. So they were our main partner. But then again, they were in 3 roles, basically. As a commissioner, so we were the consultants. We actually have a governance structure for you as well. We were the consultants or designers and co-organizers, but they were also co-organizers, commissioners, and of course, as a city government representative, they are also responsible for the results, for the impact. But then we had this organizing team first, and also we created the steering group, just 3 people, 3 meetings, virtual meetings during that 2 months process. It was just 2 weekends, actually, where people met. And in that steering group, we engaged also the city council member, who was quite active, but we didn't reach the goal of getting him more involved. And we had Graham Smith, professor of political science, the godfather of climate assemblies, the chair of NOCA, and then Martin Norguiv, local democracy expert from Tartu. But let's go back. How we designed the whole process so that we said that, okay, you want to experiment with a new format, but we want you to learn about this and organize the next ones yourself. So we designed the whole process from that viewpoint. And we started with creating the rule book. And actually, we took Moster's rule book, word by word, copied it, translated it, a bit changed, updated it, or like put into our context. But it's, you know, it's all freeware. Yeah, we share all the good stuff. The community of democracy deliberators. But this rule book is a really good chance for public servants who have no idea of this, like random sample is what? Like random citizens? No? Accidental citizens, what are they? Deliberation? How does that work? In the form of that rule book, you basically lay everything out from the start to the end. And it's also a great tool for transparency. So if anybody has questions like, but who is selecting the expert? Check the rulebook. According to this chapter 52, the experts are chosen by that. So we started with that. And unfortunately, Janika, who was here in the morning, and she's also from the same department, she has left. But maybe later you can ask her about her experience and opinion. She was the main contact person for us, not the main architect. He was too busy. Yeah, and now I hand over to Maiu because we have the division of roles. We are the A team, but I'm the kind of energizer and team leader, project manager, and Maiu is doing the hard stuff all the time. She's an analyst, impact expert. So over to you.
Yes, I'm the overthinker. And then trying to see, and the rest of the team tries to simplify. But I'm going to go back a bit to show here one role that we kind of foresee. As Teele said, this is our second process. So we already used here some of the learnings from the first one we did with youth in Ida-Virumaa County on climate justice. Yeah. So here's something that we kind of had a hunch, okay, maybe we need someone who has expertise in talking to the politicians, you know, the way that, in the same language, on the same level. So we draw in Milton New Nordics, Estonia, who are communications and public agency, yeah. So, and they had, so now we're kind of, this is how our way to, with each process to kind of build a team, get coalitions, get the partners to kind of cover different roles, different expertise we need to get this really difficult machinery going. Just a step back, just to give you kind of the overall framework of when we're talking about, we have different cases you're listening about. So this is how our case kind of looks like on a process scheme. I added, so you see the preparation is it's not final, actually kind of reiterating and doing stuff when you're recruitment, deliberation, and the key the impact drivers, I added them also here. So that's something that we understood that's something important to acknowledge right in the beginning. So what creates the impact? What creates the results out of your process? So that's why our presentation is not talking about deliberation, but it's talking about how you have to kind of foresee the next steps. Yeah, and this is good that we're having so many cases. That's how you can, foresee them. We're helping you to foresee the possible problems that you might face in steps, towards the end. So public communication all the way through the process is very important to create systemic change and have impact, be it social impact or policy impact. And we are, right now, we are here somewhere. We're actually still doing the evaluation. And we are still kind of thinking, how to think about the impact and the implications of the process. And we know from Tartu that the next kind of public information about and the feedback, what has been going on with the recommendations that citizens offered. The next public information will go out in January, because right now the municipality is working on the budget for next year, and that's where the kind of they have an exam, you know, implementing the recommendations. They're really trying and working on it right now, like how to link now the recommendations of the assembly to the actual reality of, you know, putting up a budget, negotiating the budget on the political level, you know, what gets in, what gets left out, and how to kind of argument. So that's what they're doing right now. They're working. We're not trying to really disturb them right now. So they're kind of building this experience, and we'll come back to it later this year and in the beginning of next year. So we're kind of still in the process of, you know, evaluating those outputs and impacts. Yes. When we start to go back to the logic of kind of this process, yeah, we begin with preparation, I will focus to I will go through the different process. What's the phases? But focus on exactly the cooperation with public officials, with Tartu municipality, and, you know, differentiate between the officials who we were co-organizing this process together with, and the politicians, the political side, because they're kind of sometimes it feels they're living in different different worlds, even though it's they're cooperating it every day. So it was very important. It turned out, actually, it surprised our partners in the Department of Urban Planning that just before we were talking about, okay, now we're ready to get public, you know, just to kind of shout it out, we're going to have this process. All of a sudden, there was in the government of Tartu, the mayors and the deputy mayors from different political parties, they were starting, getting apprehensive. Okay, so are we sure? Do we know enough? What's gonna happen? How it's gonna end? How it's gonna implicate? How it's gonna, you know, what can go wrong, etc., etc. How much it's gonna cost? So there was a kind of, you know, a step back, and then we were like, okay, let's deal with that. And then, of course, the Ukraine war happened. Yeah, right at the time, basically. So we had several problems, and we were just thinking about, okay, we took a week to figure out, are we going to go on with this? But then everyone said that the climate change and every adaptation to climate change, the sustainable mobility, those are so important topics. Even the war in Ukraine is not going to, you know, we still have those problems. We still need to solve them. So we have to go on with the other process as well. So it was a very big workload for our partners in the municipality. But then we made the workload bigger, because we thought that, okay, now the politicians are kind of apprehensive, so we need to go talk to them. So we started going to, we had a presentation, this special presentation and discussion for the city government. We visited coalition party representatives to tell them what's the plan, what's going to happen, why we are certain it's a good idea. Then we visited the city council committees, environmental, urban planning and development, economic affair, and just, you know, to be sure. Actually, there were not a lot of questions that came out of there, but just, you know, the mayors wanted to be sure that there will not be any, you know, political disturbances after we start. So that was really something we learned, and, you know, kind of and when we did the whole process, our learning is that actually you need to do more of that. Just informing is not enough. So that's one of the, you know, takeaways for us, that you need to figure out like how to engage, not only present what the plans are, but to engage them into designing the plans also. People from the city council committees who are different political party representatives. We invited the politicians to observe a process, politicians from all the fractions. None came. Yeah, it was weekend. It's not a working time. So we failed on that big. But again, it's a message in itself. We need to work on that. Just a few words about the recruitment, because we just had a topic on we just had discussion on that. And our learnings is that the purpose of the random sortition is to include groups who are usually left out or not heard, because we need to include the different experiences, not opinions. I actually when we were talking about recruitment, I just wanted to shout out that, okay, let's not talk about different opinions. That's not the thing, yes? Recruitment, you want different profiles, different lives presented, different experiences of people, because their lively realities are so different and varied. So that's what we have to take into account when we're designing solutions. Okay, yeah, and just one more thing that we also did a lot of work on, I would call it onboarding, not just recruiting and inviting them to participate. We did a lot of work on onboarding, but of course we only had 1 week between getting the final list, together and starting the climate assembly. So it was very easy for us. It wasn't the 6 months. I'm like, oh my God, what did you, how could you do that? So the result for us was that there were actually no dropouts during the whole process. Yeah, the ones we called, the ones who came, there were a few dropouts before they actually, before the first get together, but the ones who came, they stayed till the end and voted. So that was something, to say that whatever we did with the deliberation and how we designed it, it actually worked, and it was something that was actually very needed. The people needed this kind of space for deliberative. They said in the feedback they were impressed by the positive, supportive, friendly vibe. I mean, again, that says something. We're not used to positive, supportive, friendly engagement. What's that about? And actually, the people in the feedback questionnaire told us that they felt and they understood that they had never been discussing those topics or just discussing with such a different group of people. They that's what they understand themselves, looking around in the climate assembly, that they saw, okay, this is diversity, and this is new, first time for me. So that was important. And for a learning, or what the takeaway for us was that you have to actually not communicate the recruitment and the sortition, because this is technical. Yeah, the main message is that on the value and importance of bringing together diversity of ideas, diversity of voices, and less focus, on the technical side. That's where we failed a bit, because when you started talking about the sortition and randomized sortition, the politicians wanted to talk about that, but they're missing the point. The point is that we get together a diverse group of people, and that's something that's innovative and new.
All right, we need to speed up. So we had 45 participants, and we call it mini-Tartu. Tamir, you said, what was your version? Yeah, sitting in a room. We had mini-Tartu, and that in Estonian is the same, so that kind of was quite sexy for everybody. Just to give you a short atmosphere.
Yes, just the feel. How did you achieve that no one dropped out?
But sorry, we don't have the English subtitles, but just...
Kliimakogu on selline kokku kutsutud ühine arvamusplatvorm, kus kõik isikud on eksperdid oma ruumikogemuse ja oma ruumitunnetusega. Ja igaühe arvamus on selles mõttes oluline, et kuidas me näeme erinevatest vaatevinklitest seda, kuidas Tartu linn võiks olla parem.
kliimakogu on selline kaasamise demokraatia formaat, mis toob kokku juhuvalimi inimestest, kes siis moodustavad väikese mini-omavalitsuse, antud juhul siis mini-Tartu, kes esindavad Tartut erinevate karakteristikute alusel, et oleks erinev jaotus sooliselt, oleks hariduse tasemed, oleks erinevad piirkonnad linnast esindatud ja need inimesed siis arutasid läbi hulga erinevaid Tartu ees seisvaid väljakutseid, mis puudutavad rohelist linnaruumi, jõudsid ettepanekuteni, mida nad tahaksid linnale teha ja nüüd hääletasidki need ettepanekud läbi, nii et siit kuskil oma poolsada ettepanekut läheb edasi Tartu linnale selleks, mida siis teha, et Tartus saaks ägedam ja rohelisem linn. Me tegelikult ei keskendu probleemidele kui sellisele, vaid keskendume ennekõike lahendustele.
Pidime siis leidma lahendusi nii füüsilise ruumi koha pealt, aga ka, et et kuidas me saaksime aidata inimestel oma harjumusi muuta.
And we did democracy fitness training in between. Yes, okay.
Minu arust seal on lihtsalt organiseerimata, seal on ju see karupark, eks ole, et mis selle aia mõte seal on?
Kõiki korraldajaid üllatas see, et kui kaasas inimesed olid selle protsessiga, sest
Sellist kodanike kohustust. You see me enough. Right?
And what the final words were that all the organizers were really impressed how motivated the participants were. So that was again some impact. Sorry, we could also call it something an important impact. Yeah. So about the deliberation that we saw, the feeling and everything that. We really need to do the work together of politicians and whoever is the most important key decision maker or policy maker. You do everything you need to get them there, to feel the ambience, to feel the people, to see the faces. That is so critical. And that's maybe more critical in the beginning, like for us, when you don't know what this citizen assembly is. There's a bit of distrust and misbelief. Okay, this cannot be the vaccine or the cure for everything. The trust issues that we have in a society. You just have to get them in the room and do work for that. That was something we're taking away for the next process. And give the commissioning body some roles that they need to be present and do something. Some small roles to get them engaged. Not just speaks and not be seen as expert and everything, but just small, organizatory roles. So they're really involved and hands-on. And yes, and we what we didn't do is we didn't foresee that the proposals would be wider than the department that we're working with. So we didn't foresee that the implementation needed other departments as well. So that's something that you need to foresee, that you have to think forward how to engage all the departments that will probably need to be on the implementing side. So about, that's a phase that we're right now, evaluating everything, what have we done, evaluating as we go, still with the last steps. But again, for beginners maybe, something that it really inspired us, yeah? Thank you, Eve and Eva. And we had the source is OECD, evaluating guidelines for representative deliberative processes. So really, this kind of view helped us to think about what to ask when we have those questionnaires, before and after the process, and how to do interviews with co-organizers, participants, and everyone. So this is a really helpful material for us, so how to start. And here, when we did our process, we got this idea that, okay, we're not really good with the policy impact. We're not showing policy impact, but there's so much more. And then you guys published this brief on key drivers of impact. And it's a really important message, I think, and it also helps to get more public officials and politicians on board to show that the impact scope is wider. You can get more out of this process. That is also very valuable. You can policy impact, social impact, and systemic impact. So that's Okay, we don't know. Yes, one of the when we're talking about policy impacts, it was so funny that sometimes you don't need to talk about all the complex systems. We're all people, and what the breakthrough was for us and for Tartu with this process was that I think we kind of rebuilt trust between residents and the municipality. They saw that both ways, actually. Officials were used to, the people are the ones who are, they're used to talking to residents who are angry, mad, not everything you do is wrong and faulty, and you're biased, etc. So the officials always get the angry crowd. They don't know that there are people who are actually reasonable and want to help out and everything. So they were surprised, and they kind of got this nudge to open up and actually trust the public more. I mean, I think that is breakthrough, and we don't think about that. That's a basic where we need to start to build that trust, and vice versa. We had this guy sitting on this is the final event when the municipality was giving feedback to the mayors there, talking about the results. And here the mayor was sitting at a table with a guy who said that it's so good to know that officials are not just stone faces. Like, they're people like us, regular people, and really care. So that connection, how we see and how we feel, is something that is really has the biggest potential to build all the changes we need on that. And when we're talking about how to kind of start evaluating or understanding the impacts and implications of the process, we understood that we actually this was a part that we didn't design. When the Citizen Assembly came up with the propositions, we made this beautiful report and gave it to public officials in Tartu municipality, and then they were, as I said in some interviews, and then they discovered that, okay, what do we do now? Like, how does this part go? How do I give feedback? How do I answer? So this is something also that we kind of need to foresee and design beforehand. And here is just, you can see that those departments were engaged in cooperation and organizing the assembly, urban design, and also public relations. But the proposals came also for Department of Education, Department of Communal Services, and yes, but they were not engaged. They didn't actually know enough about the process. So now the question is, that's actually the state right now, like how to, and the most of the, 2/3 of the proposals are such that you need to cooperate between departments to implement them. So that's the question to think about, like knowing that, how do you kind of design the whole process to help out with that? So that you don't, so this is something that might jeopardize your implementation if you don't think about that previously. And again, we saw that some propositions were already in plan. Yeah, some are doable in the frames of current budget period. You can kind of switch and change, and some need a broader discussion and the changing budget strategy. So that's overall how it looks right now. Okay, overall, we found out that with this one pilot of methodology, it raised so many questions or contradictions we have that opened up broader discussions about the roles of institutions in our representative democracy. Like, how is this representation actually working? That's what you talked about, the legitimacy and democracy by the people. What does that actually mean? And we need to continue those discussions to figure it out. And again, there's Estonia is having we're having a problem. We see with political culture. The institutional side is okay, legislative side, but the political culture is not actually it's not working the same way as proposed in the law and how we would think it would work. And again, we were talking about we need a discussion about we cannot have one-off engagement practices. We need really good work on follow-up and make this mini-publics as an everyday procedure in public in policy making. And now the positive results are that the commissioning department is, as I said, working on how to connect the results into the process. And we saw that actually that the citizens are not kind of experts, but the most valuable thing they can offer is that they give you informed preferences, how to prioritize. The more we have crises, we have few resources. You have to make choices. So that's what the assembly could help you with if you listen. Yeah. We did really bad on the immediate impact on public awareness because the timing was out, the media interest, we couldn't switch it. So yeah, the key impact factor is communication strategy throughout the whole process, and that's something we need to kind of think about and more pilot. But our best positive impact was regarding the participants. So that's also important for systemic impact. And systemic impact, we're talking about the change in the democratic system. And of course, we put up, human democracy by the people, for the people. So the by the people part had really positive results. The deliberation actually really raised their awareness of their own role. They are better informed on strategic goals, what the Tartu is doing, so they feel better connected with the municipality. They felt the self-confidence rise, and that helps them to take more active part in public discussions. Yes, and they showed raised interest in sustainable policy making, and they regained hope for public engagement. That's overall we saw that this part of impact is very important, and we're kind of missing out that side when we're focusing on policy impacts only. But this is the resource to get the big changes going. You need the people to be, uplifted, empowered. And yes. Oh, okay, I will put it here.
Cherish the collaboration relationship. Don't forget to celebrate your success or lessons learned. This is what we did a boat trip with the main architect and then his team and our team and the Milton agency people. It was so fun. And yeah, this creates the next processes, I hope.
This emphasizes what we talked about, that we're still all people. You just kind of have to get the connection first, and then you can do all the systemic changes afterwards. Yeah, so that's our experience.